From rare 1930s glove designs to hand-sewn versus machine-sewn, from cutting dyes to stretching leather, I speak to Gerard Horn, a third-generation glove maker who, along with his dad Brian, continued the family business as Ireland's only specialist glove maker.
A lady came in, her mother had sold designs to my granddad in the 1930s, so she had done all these kind of designs. She had escaped Vienna just before the Second World War, and she'd come to Ireland, and that was what her job was. She was a glove designer, so my granddad would have bought a load of them from her at the time. Anyway, her daughter came in and she brought us in these designs. So we've started to try and make some of these. Some of them are very complicated, but as many of them as we could, we've started to try and make them in the last little while. So these are really magnificent. So if you take that one there, for example, what we did was we turned that into this. So slightly different, but we've done our own kind of take on what was that very kind of very, very beautiful glove from that.
Is there a name for that style?
No. Experiment number one. Well, she has it there as wool ribbon drawn through slash glove. So we use tweed because I think we're quite keen on using tweed as a traditional Irish product. So we've had a go at making some of these, and
How old do you reckon these designs are?
I don't know. They're dated. A lot of them are dated kind of 1936, 1937, and we have been talking to a few archives to take them from us and kind of hold them a little bit more safely. So I think that'd be really cool. But so they're lovely. They're really beautiful, and they're a work of art that you want people to see and be able to kind of to be able to use. I have no idea how you'd make that.
Yeah.
So we did a version of that. No, we did it in pink, and we did our own kind of update on it. But I guess what we were able to do was to take some of these and just draw a little bit of inspiration for them and see if we could kind of develop them that way. Okay.
Who is George?
So George is my granddad. He started the business in 1944. He started up in Cabra. He did a little workshop in the back garden, and then he built a factory after that, where they were until 1972. 1972, the night my parents got married, the factory burnt down, which was quite dramatic stuff. So they spent a few years kind of rebuilding it from there. They moved down to Prussia Street, where they traded as Castleknock Glove Company from the early 1970s until the early 2000s. We stopped making gloves then for a few years. In the early part, made a lot of gloves for kind of big stores in America and that kind of stuff. When we were down in Prussia Street, we made a lot of industrial and military gloves. Now we've obviously gone back into the more kind of fashion end of things to kind of make those again. So I think we finished in about 2006. In 2017, we started making them again. In the interim, we got rid of all our kind of machinery and that kind of stuff. It took us a few years to kind of get the old machines from around the place. We got some of our own ones back. And then there was 2 or 3 factories in England closed down, and so we bought their old machines.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Some of those machines we're still trying to find. So one of the issues is that the type of machine that we use for most of our gloves is technically obsolete, so it's not supported by Singer anymore. So it's quite difficult to get spare parts and that kind of stuff if anything goes wrong. So a lot of what's different in terms of the different type of gloves are the sewing that we do to kind of to make them. So this one here is quite a good version. This is the very traditional kind of hand sewn glove you'll see there. That is made completely by hand, so there's no machine sewing or anything on that. This is a nice contrast stitch, so you can actually see what that stitch looks like all the way down. The next kind of type of finish then, this is the most kind of complicated, I suppose, and difficult to achieve, is what we call a Peaky seam. So if you look at it there, it's a flat seam, so it's 2 pieces of leather, one layered on top of the other. Okay, and it's a very, very fine finish, a very, very fine seam. Okay, and it's made on a Peaky sewing machine. Yep. It's a very difficult machine to operate, but it gives a beautiful finish.
What do you hand sew stuff and then machine sew other stuff? What's
just the aesthetics? Some people like it hand sewn.
Does it look different, or
yeah, it does.
It function different?
Both really. So it looks different in that it tends to have that more visible stitch on it, and the fit will be slightly more, it's not a more generous fit, but machine sewn ones, there's a little bit less give in them. The hand stitch one there, which we talked about first, so you can see that kind of that kind of pattern in it, and even if it was kind of tone and tone, the colour was the same, you'd still be able to see a little bit of it. Like, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if it is yours, then it's really what you want.
Really,
It's funny, when I was a kid, because I grew up around it, I didn't really, like the hand-sewn to me just looked kind of old-fashioned or whatever, but as you get older and you see it, you just go like, I wouldn't buy a pair of gloves now if I had to buy a pair of gloves. But if I did, I wouldn't buy one that wasn't hand-sewn. Like, it's just, to me, for a men's pair of gloves, it's just totally different. Different classes, my dad would say. It is a different class, like, it's just beautiful.
How much longer would a hand-sewn pair take than a machine-sewn?
Probably 3 hours.
3 hours more.
Yeah, it depends. Like, don't get me wrong.
The people that want it.
Yeah, and the like for the Peaky machine is a divil as well. Like, that takes a long time, and for people who want that, that's the way to go. These ones are done on the Peaky machine. So this is another pair that we use the designs from the 1930s on. So they're quite nice. Yeah, this kind of detail here was really good. We're pretty happy with that. So this one is what we call a Peaky machine. So that is to make that flat seam that we spoke about earlier. So you'll see it's a really difficult machine because you've got to make everything up in the air. You'll work your glove around here. So that post means that you can kind of get access to the thumbs and the parts in between the fingers, which we call fourchettes.
Is that harder to control?
It is, yeah. You're using your eye to kind of measure it. Like, you don't have something that you're working kind of
you're
towards. You're not resting it on anything, yeah. And that's why, like, every glove will be a little bit different.
That looks very complicated.
Yep.
It's magic.
It's magic. It is magic, yeah. No, it is. Of the different machines we were talking about, like, these two are the Peaky machine is the hardest one to use by a long way. This machine here we call a PXM machine. So again, this is for maybe a traditional man's outseam glove. Not one that's hand sewn, but it'll look kind of similar to that. Sorry, I'll try and find you one here. The seam is on the outside. So where we said that the Peaky had 2 pieces of leather that were flat together, this is 2 pieces of leather that are kind of pressed face to face. Okay. The leather will sit in here and you'll make the glove on the machine all the way around like that. Like, this is effectively a normal sewing machine, except that rather than being flat on the ground, it's kind of been tilted sideways, and it has this this wheel here which kind of pushes the leather through. This is a little overlocker that you make inseam gloves on. So you'll feed the glove through this way as you make it. These are done in the inseam machine, so you wouldn't hand sew those because the seam is on the inside of them anyway. Yeah. Okay.
So they're made inside out and then
exactly
obviously flipped around.
Yeah.
What sort of leather are these?
These are nearly all lambskin. Yeah. So we do use some lamb or suede on some of them, and then occasionally we'll use goat.
And the lambskin, because it's what, just nice and soft?
It's soft, it's pliable, it's quite a strong material as well if it comes off the hair sheep. Most of our gloves are lined with either cashmere or silk.
Silk lining. Okay, yes.
If you want to come around, you can have a look at the colours here. Yeah. So, sorry, excuse the little bit of a mess, but we do tend to kind of keep a lot of colours. So generally we'd have 6 or 7 colours in each of the different styles for ladies. Probably men, it's a bit easier because you've got kind of really 3 colours. You've got a black, a tan and a dark brown. Irish men in particular tend to be a bit more conservative. So generally the thicknesses for the ladies are 0.5 mil and for the men is 0.7, 0.8 mil. Sometimes you can go up to 1 mil, but it gets quite kind of heavy at that stage. Compromises the flexibility. We get most of our leather in Italy. In fact, all of our leather now we get in Italy. We did, some of it we used to buy in the UK. The big tannery there closed about 2 years ago, so we still have some of there. But generally, everything we buy now, we buy in Italy, yeah. So there's quite a bit of stretch in that already, okay?
Oh, yeah. How many different sizes do you do for styles?
It depends. We make a lot for shops, and generally they just want a small, medium and large. Yeah. So we make 3 sizes for them in the men's, 3 sizes in the ladies. For ourselves, when we make them in the ladies, we make 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, and 8.5, and 9. So that's 6, and then we'll make 6 sizes in the men's as well. It can be difficult to keep them all kind of in stock, and and there's no rhyme or reason. Like, some weeks you get a run on 6.5, some weeks you get a run on 8.5. So you just go.
What was this funny little ruler you're using?
That is it's called a French ruler. It's just the same as an ordinary ruler, really, except that it goes a little more than 12 things, and you can.
Why is it tapered?
so you can fill it up the inside of the fingers if you want to.
Okay, yeah.
You adjust the height kind of before you use
It's
it.
not the same every time, no?
No, if they're a different height, then
Oh, the stamps are different. Yeah.
our stamps are all from hundreds of years or whatever. Well, probably hundreds of years, different places. And so what we would call table cutting is that first part where you stretch it and cut it and stretch it again. Then you take it down here to the click and press. Now this is a fairly straightforward operation. And there we have the leather cut out in the shape of our gloves. So that final cutting part is done on the clicking press itself. This is the older way that they made those knives. So it's a much more kind of robust thing.
Okay.
It's also a much more
Substantial.
bit of kit.
Yeah.
Like there's, the weight in that compared to the newer ones is fairly significant difference, But
I wouldn't imagine it'd be cheap getting one of them made.
no, I got a quote for one of those to see if we could get the made in this way, and I think they were talking like they'd be over €1,000 each. So
Really?
yeah, I mean the other ones aren't cheap, but they're not
Yeah.
they're not in that ballpark
But
of
buying the used ones, like.
yeah.
Yeah. How many do you have over there?
I'd say we have about 70 or 80 over here, and I've probably got the same again in the garage at home. Different styles and different sizes, yeah. So there's probably some of them that are short, there's some of them that are long, some of them have just different width. Some of them are for mitts.
Oh, yeah.
See those? Some glove cutters like to use these ones, which kind of finish there, and then they'll cut the rest out by hand.
Okay.
So
It's just the fingers, really.
yeah, so it's just the fingers that they cut on that, and then that gives them a little bit more leeway to kind of, if you have a long glove or something like that, you can cut it that way. So with the old ones, in the old days, you would have been able to manipulate the spread of the like at the bottom. With the newer ones, you can't do that.
What are those smaller ones? Just single?
The last kind of glove factory, I think it's the last one that closed down in England. We bought. We got to it kind of late in the day. Somebody else had been through and pillaged all our other stuff. We got a good bit of stuff. So these are just kind of half things, but we still haven't figured out because it's a very different shape of thumb to the one that we're used to.
Right.
So we still haven't figured out exactly what that is. So Mitch, as well as George Horn, we also have a second business, Dublin Leather Store, where we wholesale and retail leatherwork tools, various dyes and hardware and that kind of stuff that people might use when they're doing some leather work. So it's really for people who are hobbyists, for people who are upholsterers. So we sell quite a lot of upholstery leather, for people who are in the business, who are making clothes and that kind of stuff. We have a beautiful veg tan shoulder here, lovely aniline finish, great colour, and this is about 3 mil. So this is kind of ideal for somebody who's making a bag. So we sell veg tan leather, we sell chrome tan leather, we sell lambskin, goatskin, buffalo, you name it, we'll sell it. We also do classes 2 or 3 times a month. We do beginners class where we go through all the different tools. Everybody has a kind of little play around with those, get the basic skills down, and we either make a wallet or a passport holder or something in the afternoon. You can book in and make a belt with me anytime you want. We also do a carving class where you start off with your kind of tooling and carving and that kind of thing. We do a few where we make a glove, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to look to add a few more to those.
So thank you, Gerard, Larissa and Anna. Pop in and see them in their workshop in Stoneybatter in Dublin. And if you want to learn more about the gloves or the classes or the supplies or anything, there are links to both the George Horn and the Dublin Leather Store's websites and social media in the description. And please like this video. It really helps small channels like mine.